Hey, how's it going? Guys, thank you all for tuning in. And yeah, for everyone in space, good to see you all here with Avax Daily Community. Today we have an amazing podcast session with two amazing NFT projects and also co-hosted by CertiK. Right now we're waiting for our projects to tune in. And here we go. CertiK, guys, let me invite you to speak. To co-host as well. So, hold up. Co-host sent. All right. All the invites sent. Right now, let me just tweet this out to the people right now in the Avax Daily community. Let them join the call.
Hello, hello.
Hey, Chase. How's it going?
It's going. How are you?
Yep, it's going as it's supposed to go, I guess. Yeah, good and great. Just got back from a trip to, well, just a holiday, basically. Been overworking myself quite a lot, so nothing
I
much.
feel that. It's always much needed. I could use one myself.
And you should too as well. And SparkWorld, welcome. Vending Machines as well.
How's it going, team? Thanks for having us on. Really excited for this space.
Yeah, absolutely. Always excited to invite the projects over and let them teach us the things to do about these different topics that we're trying to learn. And I guess this could be a valuable, I would say, opportunity for the listeners in the space as well to know more about these stuffs as well. For me, I've been in the space for a while now, and my NFT knowledge is quite shit. I have to say, I'm not very into NFTs, so I'm ready to learn what you guys have to offer now.
Yeah, I'm with you there, Daily. I've been in the space for about 5 years now. I missed the whole ETH NFT original train, and I hopped on the Solana one for a little bit, so I'm interested to hear about the Avalanche aspect of things for sure.
For sure. What about you, Vending?
Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for the spaces. Yeah, no, we're all about NFTs, so I'm very happy and glad to share some of things that I have observed and know about NFTs, and hopefully we can educate some people and answer some questions.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you guys for taking your time and being here as well. Yeah, more people are tuning in. Let's just warm the audience up with a couple of introductory questions about the guys here in the call. Are you ready, guys?
Let's do it.
Very cool. So right off the bat, let me just introduce the guests here, the lineup that we have. So we have here Chase. He's the the media marketing manager, I believe, for CertiK. And also we have SparkWorld with us here. They are an amazing NFT aggregator and also a launchpad, and also Vending Machine NFT. They are an amazing NFT project on the Avalanche network with, I believe, 4,444 unique vending machines. Actually, we've had collaborations before with Avax Daily, and that's why I want to invite you guys over, to strengthen our relationship and looking forward to a brighter future. So guys, SparkWorld, CertiK, and Vending, you guys want to maybe introduce yourself a little further?
Yeah, I'll start. As you mentioned, my name is Chase. I'm the social media marketing manager here at CertiK / Spaces host, because I've been doing this quite frequently now. I run the social media, kind of do marketing, all things marketing around CertiK. Interested to learn more what these guys are building in the space and a little bit more about NFTs.
Wonderful. JJ?
Yeah, 100%. Just jumping in here. Thanks for having us on. So SparkWorld, our aim is to be a best-in-class sort of NFT infrastructure solution and community hub, offering our proprietary tech, which is fair, predictive launches. So kind of best-in-class launchpads alongside a marketplace aggregator, and generally being a one-stop shop for all things NFT experiences, and kind of giving as much value back to the community and stakeholders within it. So mainnet coming next month, so big push and lots of coffee being drunk on this side. Some tired devs.
For sure, man. What about?
Yep, I'm Asa with Vending Machines. Our project is we focus on building metaverse on the Avalanche network. So, and then further integrate Web2 or the real world money into the blockchain by building the platform for them to come in and showcase their products or launch their products in our metaverse.
Hey, glad to have you guys here as well. So for this AMA agenda, we have around two parts. The first one is going to be obviously to learn more about the NFT landscape in Avalanche, and the second part is going to be the community questions. It's simple as that. And yeah, we have gotten to know quite a few things or two about you guys. First of all, SparkWorld, you guys are building, as you said, a one-stop for NFT, right? A one-stop hub. What does that mean actually? Like you are a marketplace aggregator, the mainnet is launching, and also a launchpad. What else do you offer? Or if you can, just get into the details of what you guys are offering with these products.
100%. So we just wanted to focus on three main service lines. So the first is obviously bringing NFTs to market, so mints, and we wanted to try and bring a novel. You see a lot of copycat solutions in crypto. It's this on this chain. It's like Uniswap on X chain, or however those projects go. So we wanted to try and build something that was new and adding value, and even if it goes wrong and you have to iterate, it's still finding out whether there can be better solutions to what is definitely a problem with like whitelisting and how mints go, whether that's high gas fees or network outages that you've seen on Solana, or bots that we've seen so prevalent on Avax. There's definitely a lot of tweaks that need to happen in that distribution method. So what we came up with is something called fair predictive launches, which is essentially the gamification of like the whitelisting and minting problem. And it's using prediction events as a way to whitelist people. So people predict a variable, it might be the price of Avax, and the closest 1,000 predictions get on the whitelist and are able to mint for like a specified time, say half an hour, however people want to do the whitelist. So that then flows into like a public mint. So it's kind of like a whitelist and mint solution that's coming out next month. As I said, we're also going to be having other methods of like auction, raffles, etc. We also have a marketplace aggregator. Obviously, we've got quite a keen focus on GameFi, and lots of GameFi projects like to have native marketplaces, which can be difficult to, always be going across and navigating onto their stores, as well as other like main secondary marketplaces. And ultimately, we didn't want to go up against trying to take up market share in that secondary marketplace, and aggregating means you can kind of collaborate more fluently with the incumbent marketplaces, which is one of our key pillars. And then the third is having value adds protocols on the platform. So that's sort of daily, weekly and monthly prediction tournaments on all things NFTs. So that's, is set X going to get more volume than set Y over this week? People vote, and then there'll be like a prize pool of like what got more volume, and kind of like infusing those communities to get involved and engage. And there's obviously a lot of methods that will lead to your imagination of how you can reward, airdrop NFTs for most active, leaderboards, social, and the full gamification of everything NFTs. So that's a super quick whiz through the platform, which is, as I say, kicking off with the fair predictive launches next month. So keep an eye out for the mainnet campaign.
Yeah, man. And Chase, if you want to jump in, just go ahead and unmute yourself, right? And yeah, I mean, one stop, the different products you offer are amazing. And do you think that having these, raffles and also predictions is the best way possible to, alleviate some of the problems existing in the minting or the whitelisting of NFT? Or do you think that in the future there should be some next level stuff happening?
Yeah, I had a similar kind of question on that because, I love the gamification aspect of the whitelist because, do you think that makes it fairer for users? Because, in my understanding of whitelist, kind of not a who you know kind of thing, but it's very competitive in a sense. And, kind of what Daly is saying, but do you think this is like a fairer way to do that?
Yeah, so I think it's like, firstly, it's good not to talk in absolutes of this. I think it's sometimes people are quite extreme in Web3 of saying like I've got the ultimate or definitive solution, because I think whitelisting at its core is a extremely unique process for the specific project. It's really what do you want to achieve with that specific whitelisting, and it's all about your community positive discrimination of like, I want to get this set of people, which means I'm going to make them do this task, or I'm going to get this set of people by making them do this task, or you want the people who are just coming on public mint because they can't be bothered to do the grinding or the application of something or make some art. And so it's ultimately down to the project. What we're trying to do is make an improved solution for allowing real people to get into the hottest projects. And what that does is it introduces like a layer of, we kind of came back to basics of how do you make an ordered list of people on chain in a fair, transparent way using a smart contract. And so an ordering mechanism can be like a prediction event. And so that's how we kind of came up with the idea. And then it sort of dovetails quite nicely into how you can add the gamification of, top 10 closest predictions would get a free mint, top 10 stakers by volume into the pool, into the prediction pool would get a free mint. And then you can do all this sort of like, top 250 get a $50 of Spark token, top 1,000 get $20 of Spark token, for example. And so there's lots of like interesting ways you can iterate that, and people can decide how much they use on a fair predictive launch versus like a public mint. We can do supplementary or exclusive launches. So it allows you to interact with our community in quite a meaningful way, and also mean that if you feel like you really can have a fair shot at getting into a project via these prediction events, it's quite an interesting way to maybe increase like attention. I know with some of like the really hyped projects, I don't know if people followed the Ute list on Solana, but that was just crazy how much hype that got. And you kind of get that sense that you'll never actually get onto that whitelist unless you're in the Boogles or one of those more exclusive NFT sets that gets the automatic whitelists, as CertiK was saying. So I guess just to round that up, it's like, I'm not saying it's the best or the definitive solution. I'm saying we're trying to make an improved effort on a novel route that is going to take iterating as and when we keep developing.
Right, and regarding that, yeah, I'm not really following the NFT market that much, but even myself, I know a thing or two about the Ute's NFT and all its minting process. Lots of people have been having problems with its minting, like having trouble, some maybe bugs or whatever, they cannot mint it. But all right, just get back to the point. Obviously, there should be some next level thing happening and some other methods as well. Right now, I feel like the gamification, I believe it forces people to try and also to actually do all the tasks and all the games, all the prediction themselves, and they cannot use bots for that. And if they win some of the top spots, they will get a free mint. That's pretty nice.
Yeah, just to chime in, I like that you say that, you're not saying it's the best, like the only way, but I mean, it is an ever-growing space, and as long as projects and people do kind of try to take that next step, like, all right, this is better than what we were previously doing. Maybe it's not the end goal, the best way ever to do it, but I mean, that's all we can kind of do as a community and as like in the ecosystem, just kind of continuously get better and improve upon things that maybe aren't working the best they can. So yeah, I just want to chime in. I appreciate you saying it's not the end-all be-all, but it's definitely an improvement upon what we've been doing in the space.
Yeah, I've been in crypto since 2013, and the number of times I've seen like, we've created the global payment system to change the world, and it's white paper gone to zero. So I just think people need to, be honest and like authentic and transparent,
Yeah, for sure. So what about you, Vending Machine Guy? Do you have any problems with the whitelist kind of process of your NFT project?
No, we didn't really. We actually didn't even fill out our list and launched, right? So you mentioned Utes, and I think that what they did. So at the end of the day, whitelist is just collecting wallets. It's simple. However, right, make it.
Is it me or is it? I don't think it's me, right?
No, it's not you.
How was that rugging? How about now? Can you hear me now?
I feel like
better. You're breaking up a little bit, but.
All right. Sorry. So I was saying, like with Utes, I think they really made it more fun as far as whitelist goes. At the end of the day, whitelist is just collecting wallets and putting them in, right? The process is straightforward. But they made it more fun, made it look like you're applying for scholarship. So any kind of whitelist fun and changing the concept a little bit is always good, acceptable. I think it really helps the project a lot, having it hype before mint. So, but I also have different opinion when it comes to not as far as whitelist goes, but a lot of projects push the whitelist a lot, and there's so much hype prior to project launching. But then once it launches, that hype kind of dies. So as long as projects can continue that hype, I think whitelist is always crucial and helpful to get the project on the radar.
Mm-hmm. And so with that being said, what do you guys think about the current NFT right now? Like, what's your own narratives of NFTs? And maybe you can touch on why do you think that it's going to be relevant in the future and not just a passing trend?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's...
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. Yeah, I'm sorry. I was going to say this is a great question. And I think that's one of my main reasons why I actually started the project. I'm not an artist and I'm not a dev, right? I'm a businessman. So when I look at it as opportunity and also what the technology can bring. With NFTs and blockchains, at the end of the day, it's just a token and there's a certain wallet that's holding that token, right? So just my mindset is that way. This is what I see the best part of the NFTs. Right now, you can have certain group and with the contract address or wallet addresses, you can give permissions, take permissions, and really integrate that. So when at the moment, NFTs are really looked at as just a JPEG, and it's really looked at as flipping it 1x or 2x, right? Maybe except like Chicken and those kind of projects. But usually NFTs are looked at just a money maker. And then on the topic, if I speak broadly, overall crypto is really looked at only to make money. I don't think that's the future of crypto and NFTs. I believe the future of crypto and NFTs is more than that. It's a broader use case for everyone involved in it, right? And if we think of Web2 gaming, think about FIFA, Fortnite, or any other games we play on the apps on the phones, people actually spend money to be entertained, right? They're not spending money to earn money, unlike crypto. So once we make that switch, once there are more real-life use cases and broadly used with soul-bound NFTs, I mean, institutions talking about bringing that in. For example, you get your diploma in NFT now, right? Not in something else. So once we start getting those use cases more broadly used, I believe then we'll actually see the real potential and uptick in overall involvement from people to the blockchain. At the moment, I read somewhere there are like 40 million wallets or so. This was a few months ago. Maybe we're like 50, 60 now. But I personally have a few wallets. Many people have a few wallets. There are 7 billion people in the world, right? So majority of people are not in crypto right now. So I believe more use cases coming in. Even think of, for example, if we buy a ticket, each country is different, but I'm in US. For example, if you want to buy a ticket, you go on Expedia.com, you buy it. Usually, you purchase the ticket for the airline, but there's another company in between. You have your bank and everything in between. And then let's say something happened, you cannot fly. But to cancel your flight or to get your refund, you have to go through a lot of huddles. You need to call a lot of places and do that. And there's a very little chance you get your money back. Well, with the NFTs and the blockchain technology, it's not there yet. There's going to be a lot more development, but simply talking, it could be that you go and you scan your NFT before you board. And that's the only time where you are actually, the money or something's coming out of you. So in case you cannot, you don't have to go through any huddle. You still have the ownership, right? And this is just simply saying it. There's a lot more things can be developed, but I believe shortly, once a broader use case of the benefits, not just flipping and making money, comes into NFTs and blockchain and crypto, I think that's when we're actually going to see more improvements and developments around it.
Yeah, I agree with almost all of that. I do think we're kind of in the early stages of NFTs, and everyone's kind of trying out new things, see what works. And as you said, I mean, a lot of people are doing this for the money right now. That's kind of what crypto is at the moment, so most people get into it. But I do think in the long run, NFTs are going to have some awesome impacts. I mean, you mentioned tickets, and that's one of the things I discussed before was at NearCon, they use tickets for the passes to get in. And I mean, you mentioned with the airlines, but another thing is just going to a concert or anything like that. You go through Ticketmaster or whatever be it, and the ticket's $50, but you pay near $30 in fees. And, there's always a middleman who's taking out a huge cut of that and making money off of just you buying a concert ticket. It used to be, you just go on the website, buy it. There's minimal fees, just transaction fees and stuff. But now you go through all these ticket vendors and the prices are just astronomical. So I do think there's many use cases such as that. They kind of benefit the end user a lot. And, there's the music aspect of things for creators. And, yeah, I mean, all in all, I think it's going to be an interesting journey with NFTs. Right now, I do think they're looked at negatively by the outside world as, you're buying JPEGs online for money. But once we kind of get into this adoption and find the best use cases for it, I don't think they're going anywhere, essentially.
Yeah. I mean, I think that if you explain anything in its most simple form, it always sounds kind of like useless or that it doesn't make too much of a difference. Like if you were to describe like a football as just an inflatable round ball, that just doesn't sound like that important. But if you realize that like that football's what connects the 22 people on the pitch and the goal's like the infrastructure, then you can actually play a game of football that's actually pretty like monumental. And I think like NFTs are just that they're just like the vehicle or like the last piece of the key for like a much wider community and like infrastructure play and what they actually are trying to achieve, rather than just saying like, oh, it's just the JPEG. Or like, yeah, if you just look at it like that, it's quite a simplistic view of what's actually behind it. And I think that digital art just made the most sense to kick us off. But there's obviously like quite a few use cases being thrown around. It'll take, a good 5 to 10 years for right now, like the industry leaders and like decision makers of like the Web2 companies aren't clued up enough about Web3 to actually help make the decisions to integrate it properly in the next like 5 to 10 years, where all of the 15 to 35-year-olds right now who are like engrossed in Web3, in like 5 to 10 years they're going to be in even more senior positions. And I think that's when you'll really start to see a lot of the integration and like the progression, other than just like the price speculation on certain projects. So I think that, you know, something like the music industry, that's going to take a long time to disrupt. There's no doubt that the characteristics of NFTs are really well accustomed to help a lot of the stakeholders involved in there, but you know that takes a long time, and they've got a very, very strong grip from a few extremely large companies. But you see people like KSI and Logan Paul and these sorts of people trying to make their own music labels and, you know, fight against those sort of like larger entities. And I think NFTs are only going to definitely be playing a part in that.
Yeah, I mean, I think all aspects of the crypto Web3 industry are, you know, in its baby stages. And I mean, even if when I talk to Metaverse Games, I ask them, like, what do they picture as the end goal of the Metaverse? And it's never really what we're creating now. Everyone pictures, like, you know, the Metaverse, like the Ready Player One movie and that kind of thing. And like that's the ultimate end goal. We're kind of going through the baby stages of getting there and, you know, working out the kinks, like this is what works, this doesn't. So I think that goes for kind of all aspects of crypto. And in the long run, everything's going to change and be more utility-based and have more real-world use. But for now, you know, it is, and there's also just a fun aspect to NFTs where it is, like, some people do just want to make money. You can create cool projects, make a few dollars, you know. I mean, there's so many different aspects of it that we're kind of going through. But yeah, I'm interested in the long run to see what's going to happen with them.
Yeah, for sure, man. Like right now, there are definitely real life utilities of NFTs, like as you said, tickets to events, to vendors and everything. But I believe myself, I firmly believe that NFTs in crypto is very much like assets in real life. So in the future, we probably see, you know, NFTs are going to be like, to me, it's like a certificate of ownership, right? So in real life, if you ever own a land, a house, or anything, then you're going to get like a QR code that leads you to the ownership, like digital ownership of that assets, so you can trade around in a much more easier way. And so that's what I think that we're heading with next with NFTs. We see lands with NFTs, right? Where we can separate it into pieces and then just sell it to the people. You know, they hold each parts of NFTs and they get these benefits from NFTs. But you know, that's just a very on top of the iceberg, right? It's just the top of the iceberg. We can go a lot deeper into that level of integrating real life assets with NFTs. And that's where I think we're going next. So yeah, CertiK, do you have anything to add in?
Yeah, just to jump on that, I talked with a project recently, can't remember the name, but one cool thing they were doing, it's the first time I've seen this, is they're kind of taking collectibles and giving out NFT like certificates essentially, because, you know, a lot of people have these, whether it be Pokemon cards, old sports cards that are worth a lot of money, and people don't necessarily want to keep them or show them off because that kind of makes you a target. You know, if you post online that you have a $2 million Pokemon card or something in your house, people might come after you and try to take it. So they have this thing where you send the collectible card, whatever it be, to this safe like vault kind of thing they have, and then they send you a certificate, NFT certificate, basically saying like, yes, you do own this. And I don't know, that's just, while you talk about like the real world things, that's a kind of a cool way that I've seen people use it. And, you know, it's a cool way to show that you have it. Yeah, the project's called Collector. But it's just kind of a cool way to show that you have it without being a target for anything.
Yeah, that's a cool point. I've never noticed that, but that definitely should be some like geographical kind of difficulties with that as well, because you have to send them to specific vaults. But yeah, because you know, with Web3, you don't have to be KYC, you don't have to show the face or anything to the public, and you can still sell things, right? So if, as you say, if you hold like a very valuable Pokemon card, so you don't want to show your face, your address, so that you can be a target. So you just go ahead and put it on the marketplace. People could just buy your certificate, and then you can send the actual Pokemon card to that person. That would be brilliant as well. But or send that to a third party, maybe an escrow service. Who knows, right? Lots of things we can do. So our overall, you know, NFT right now, we're still in a very embryonic stage, very like an infancy. But why do you guys choose Avalanche as the go-to blockchain for your projects? Like I can name a few kind of blockchains out there that I would say have a wider range of audience of users for this kind of market. So why do you choose Avalanche? Maybe you want to start.
I can go. Yeah, I can go. So obviously we know that Ethereum is the biggest one, but with the fees and everything, that was a big turnoff for me, because onboarding new people, having lower fees for gas and whatnot is a great way. And why I chose Avalanche, because you also have Solana, which is cheap, but also has a lot of involvement. But what Avalanche, what I really like was, after seeing that everything that Ava Labs wants to do, it was a go for me, right? Which is, they, this NFT GameFi thing, that, man, I like in the game, much bigger than that. And they want to bring institutions, real world money onto the blockchain. We know that Chase and Banker, all of them sitting on the sideline watching and waiting to get in. And I believe that Avalanche on that front is leading the way. And bringing those masses to Avalanche obviously it shows a great future. So that was my main two things that I chose Avalanche.
JJ, what do you think?
Yeah, I think I definitely would agree. The foundation is a really important part of why anyone would pick an L1. You need to understand like what their goals and objectives are, speak to them, see what funds they're making available, see what other support they're willing to give, and what deals they're able to conclude. And obviously, Ava Labs do have quite a good track record of making some of the bigger picture deals or big value deals done. I think the second thing is, if you look at the top 10 NFT MCAPs by chain, I think Avax is about 10th at the moment. And the ones in between Solana and ETH are kind of like the Wax, the Flow, the BNBs. And I think that it's the next premium L1 that I would describe. And there's quite a big discrepancy between the NFT MCAP and the actual L1 MCAP. So I think it's got a good chance of being that third like mainstream L1. I think that if there is a big onboarding into NFTs, that sometimes people won't want to go for the already maybe like saturated market. I'm saying that in inverted commas because like it hasn't even really started yet. Obviously, there's going to be still a lot more inflow into ETH and Solana. It's not like I'm not bullish on those, but I think that Avax has a place to really go like 100x in terms of the Avax NFT MCAP, which I think is around like 70 million at the moment, which is tiny. And then on top of that, I think you've got a better chance to build credibility faster. So that can help if you're eventually thinking about going cross-chain later. But I think Avax is a really good place to start. It's got a tightly knit community that you can get stuck into very quickly, and you can consolidate your messaging well. So I think that there's quite a few things going for it. There's a huge amount of opportunity, but I think that it's unhealthy to just be pure Avax maxi, that it is a risk that it doesn't reach that critical mass or network effects. But I'm definitely here to try and add value, build the community, bring people from other chains, bring artists, bring games, shout about it. But, that's always a risk as well as a benefit.
Yeah, I look at NFTs as kind of, ETH blowing like a 3-0 lead. They had kind of the first to do it, and then Solana kind of popped up because, and I look at the main reason is fees. If the gas fee is more expensive than the minting fee, it just doesn't make sense for me. And, I was never really in NFTs, but then when I started, I did it on Solana just because I didn't want to be spending that much on fees. It just didn't make sense to me. And one important thing to me for L1 with the NFT is kind of adoption and how easy it is for an average user to kind of get on and buy an NFT. There's wallets, different marketplaces, and that kind of thing. And I think making that as simple as possible because one thing I think it was you said you've been in the space since 2013, and we look at everything and kind of understand it all. But for a new user who learns from their friend about buying an NFT, how easy is it for them to kind of get on and do it without knowing everything that we know? And I think that's just one thing to get that mass adoption, that it needs to be as simple as possible. Do you see that on Avalanche compared to other? Is it an easy hurdle, do you think, or what have you seen in that aspect?
JJ, do you want to?
Oh, sorry, yeah. Yeah, I think good and negative with Avalanche, there's not like loads of competition in the space yet, so it's quite easy to follow. Like if you're a newcomer to ETH, there's just like an insane volume of marketplaces. Obviously, OpenSea's like the primary one, but there's definitely a lot going on. It massive help that it's EVM compatible. So, like you say, when you get used to MetaMask, it's kind of pretty simple, like logical. But I definitely remember those first few transactions where you're like, how is this the future of the future of finance or the internet? I think that it's doing an okay job. It could be doing better. I don't think it's like lagging behind massively in specific NFT onboarding, but I think it's something that they definitely can improve on. But over and above, it does boil down to the community. There's quite a bit of division if you've been following Avax crypto Twitter at the moment, and I think that the way people react to stuff going badly or mini kind of Zach XBT threads like knocking about, I think scares creators. If there's all this palaver and drama and it's like not even a huge chain, that doesn't make it worth going across. Or like if you see there's a really coherent, educated community of like NFT collectors that will get behind your project and like, yes, they understand there's going to be bumps in the road, but they're like reasonable and going to support you and don't want just like that quick flip or money, or it's going to be in the Discord 24/7 going at you. I think that attracting builders is obviously the primary objective of any foundation, L1, NFT kind of community. And I think that there is definitely a long way to go in that for us. But, the flip side of that is always try and hold up accountability and people being, transparent. So there's a lot going on. I think it's doing okay. But like with everything, there can definitely be improvement.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I've been making transactions on Avalanche, and I have no problems with doing that. Fees is super cheap, it's super fast. But regarding the NFTs, I've not purchased an NFT on Avalanche because, as you said, I've not been very interested in NFTs in general. So, maybe it's bad for me because I've missed all these NFT trends in the last year. Maybe it's bad. I should have gotten into the NFTs. But for me, for a blockchain to be really, really massively adopted by people, it's really hard. It's freaking hard because people are not, they don't want to change things, right? They don't want to get out of their comfort zone. So if a person is used to using whatever blockchains they started using, and they have no problems of using that blockchains, they don't see any need of moving to another blockchains, then they won't, right? If let's take an example, like if we look at Solana, right? If I were to be into NFTs in Solana and I feel like Solana is cool, it's the fees is cheap, fast transactions, and there are lots of NFTs in there, then why should I move to Avax, right? So that's one thing. I don't think people are comfortable with moving unless they have some sort of new things that they want to discover in other blockchains, right? So Avalanche, I think that they should have something else to show to people that we are different, we're unique, we have this, and no other blockchains have that support the NFT community in general, so that people would want to move to that blockchains. You know what I mean? So in that regard, Chase?
But I think that there's just trend cycles as well. Like if you want to move to a smaller community, you've got like a better chance of being like a micro influencer up to like a middle-sized influencer, and it's easier to like gain traction of if you're one of the first players, then you kind of get like an automatic follow for like being in that ecosystem and able to build, I guess, your like personal audience of some people don't want to join on to like the end of, not the end of Solana, because as we said, it's still like got a long way to go. But if you see what I mean, like if you were trying to start out with like 5, 6, 7, 800 followers, now for like a personal influencer or contributing to a project, you've got a lot better chance of building a more reputable name potentially in Avax. But that's just one thing. I do agree that you need like more than just like it's the new thing or like low gas fees because people don't know like if that's going to last forever, how that actually plays out.
Yeah, I mean, going back to what you said, Daily, it's kind of like a marketing thing where I think community members and users, as well as projects, as well as Avalanche itself, kind of all together, kind of have to come together and push that messaging on why you should use Avalanche. Why is it better than this? And, it's a big marketing thing that I think like the ecosystem in general has to find that message of why you should come do it here instead of on another chain. And I don't know what that is. Maybe it's still in the works, but I think that would be a big tool for the ecosystem in general to have as to why it's better than others and what users and builders can benefit from either building on Avalanche and users, how they benefit from using it.
And also, as we know, right, the subnets with Avalanche, it may not be useful now because projects are still smaller. And again, right, NFT I think is the smallest focus for Ava Labs. With subnets, the bigger institutions, when they come in, having their own little chain they can have a little bit of control over, I think that can also get us to the next level. So not just NFT, overall, Avalanche subnets is a big attraction as well.
Interesting. So what do you guys think about the current NFT landscape in Avalanche, which is the main focus of today's podcast session? Like, is it like a vibrant market, do you think? Or, what have you seen that could be improved in the NFT in Avalanche?
I mean, I'll let the professionals speak on this more, but from an outsider looking in, it's kind of just notability and letting people know that, because I mean, you hear about, maybe it's just, I'm in my echo chambers of Solana and ETH and don't see as much, but for an outsider looking in, it's just kind of letting people know that there are a lot of NFT projects on here, there are cool ones, and just letting people know to check them out and kind of get interested in it.
JJ?
Yeah, I think it's definitely still in its infancy. What's like picking up to about 80k volume, trading volume per day. So by no means mammoth, but an improvement when you look at competitors of say like Near, which is a very similar sized blockchain, and I contribute to a few projects on there. We're super close with the foundation. I help run their UK community. So there's a lot, I would say, sort of a lot more promise on Avax that you're seeing. It just really requires the correct conditions for more and more builders and cool projects and high utility. I think the AAA game studios, the ones across like Ascenders, Gunzilla, Shrapnel, Imperium Empires, to name a few, once their games like come fully to market, I think there'll be a huge push for Avalanche. But those games take a while to bring to market, but they definitely have a lot of hype. I don't know if people have seen Gunzilla, and I think they just closed a huge raise, which is definitely a big plus.
Yeah, you bring up Near, and that's an interesting thing, because what I've noticed is like the foundation is very kind of hands-on in the space and kind of helps projects along the way, grow with funding and all that kind of stuff. And you guys mentioned Ava Labs isn't like, it's not their priority right now, which I completely understand from like their perspective. I mean, you kind of got to solve the big problems first and then kind of hone in on different topics. But yeah, I mean, that's just one thing I've seen the difference in like Near and Avax. And do you guys think there's anything that could be done kind of a top down for them to be more engaged with the projects building in the ecosystem?
I think they did so well with the fast grants. Near, they did 50k grants, which got a lot of smaller NFT projects out the gates and allowed them to do their first mint. And obviously within that, there's a few that don't quite make it, which is obviously should of course also be normalized. I think there's such a stigma around like the word rug. Like lots of businesses don't work. Like obviously lots of these NFT projects, they try to set out with the best intentions, but I think Near did that really well, and supported them on like a bit of marketing and really curating that community. I think Ava Labs have done some of that, like the Avax NFT Growth Squad and a few of these sort of initiatives, but there's definitely more that can be done in the sense of talking about best practice. I guess it's kind of, they steer very clear because they're that US-based for-profit company, Ava Labs, whereas lots of the other foundations are non-for-profit. So maybe they steer away from that kind of advisory or advocacy kind of route. But I think there could be more support, but they're obviously very, very aware of supporting anything that like rugs or doesn't like make it all the way is a big stain. And people in crypto care a lot about reputation and clout and how optics are and narratives. So that can get in the way of making real progress, I believe.
Azia, do you have anything to chip in?
I honestly have a lot to say. However, sometimes when I say things, I can sound like polarizing. So, yes, there is cherry picking and stuff. It happens. It's necessary. And then again, like I say, I don't think that's their main focus anyways. However, they do support some. I think overall the NFT scene in Avalanche is not bad. There's a lot going on. There's some good artists coming. We have some tokenomic projects as well. And also being able to having even success of some chicken or other projects, some others copy that and they rug pulled or whatever, right? All that is fine. I think it's fine. It's good. And you guys mentioned a lot. We're still at the very baby steps. But the product is kind of there. It can be improved, yes. But I think as far as members, community, I think Avalanche is smaller there. So doing a project, now, for example, if I have reached out to Avalanche and everything, whether they support or not, that's fine. As a project owner, I am committed. I do what I got to do to promote it. But the only thing that I ask for or would want for them to do it is because there are a lot of projects. Now, I've been here since, December. I think Avax Daily, we had things with you back in January, right? So 9, 10 months, we're still here. And just like that, there are many other projects that are still here. And if they're not supported, I think when people coming into the chain, obviously they're going to look at the previous projects. And that kind of gives them an idea of how this chain works or how things happen here. And overall, not individualistic support for any particular project, but overall putting it out there that actually there are some projects that have long-term been here and still have long-term visions. I think something like that could also bring investors from other chains when they're looking at Avalanche a little bit of confidence to come in here, or even some developers. I mean, I do speak with many people from different chains. I've been able to convince some people to come to Avalanche, but at the same time, if we're being all honest and fair, I've had people tell me, well, if I do project here, I don't really see future. I don't see engagement and stuff like that. So on that aspect, I think overall for the chain, it would help if there is some more engagement from the top. But at the same time, it's not necessary, right? We see on ETH, Vitalik, he doesn't get into any NFTs, right? So they don't have to, but to kind of, to say a little bit, I think it would help the chain overall to showcase that there are some projects with track record already established and longer term future.
Yeah, that does make sense.
Go ahead. Completely agree. So I was just going to jump in and say, I think that there hasn't been that, other than Chicken, that has done really well, which we've referenced a couple of times. I don't think there's been just like case study after case study of, and it's not all about financial gain. But like, there's definitely an element of, if you have a 10,000 piece set that makes like a lot of people a lot of money, that's like a surefire way to get a lot of buzz around a specific L1 or NFT ecosystem. And I think that Avax hasn't really ever had that narrative. Obviously there was like Small Joe's and a few of those like 100 piece sets, but they were all bought by like inside, like there's only 70, 80 holders and everyone knew about it like there was probably like 5-10 retail that actually got one of those. So the narrative doesn't spread very far. Compared to, ETH or Solana and all of those like Magic Eden drops just like selling out and getting some like decent returns, even if they were like short-lived, I think massively helps that ecosystem. Whether that helps long-term of people only wanting to be in there for returns, who knows? And whether like a more steady build approach from the Avalanche perspective helps. It's all about whether you can reach that network effect and the sort of like the critical mass.
Yeah, it's an interesting, we did bring up how, most people are here for the money, but with, projects like you mentioned like attracting new users via games, it kind of attracts different crowds, like the kind of natural, organic way that I see how Avax is kind of doing NFTs. It creates a better community, in my opinion, people who are actually just interested in it and want to get involved. Whereas when you have those big projects and bring on people just because people made money, then you just bring the flippers and those kind of people who are just there for the monetary gain. So it's like a double-edged sword, essentially, where it gets new users, but are those the users you want? And it's hard to answer that because you kind of need them. But yeah, and just kind of to chime in on what you said.
Yeah, you know what? I came across this post on Twitter by some random guy. I'm sorry if I cannot recall your name, but he said that there is he proposed a plan to further, I would say, expand the interest of people into Avalanche NFT projects. That is having like a $1 million program issued by, or funded by, to be discussed. So he proposed that we're going to spend the first $500K as a prize for a competition, for new people, for artists from other chains or from Avax to create brand new team, and to create a new project and to finish that project in around 3 months. Whichever projects came on top will receive like maybe 100,000, like as a grant, and there are top 2 and also top 3, and the rest 500K. We're going to use it to sweep the floor of these projects, so that the investors who buy into all of these mints from these top projects, they will be incentivized. They will see that their NFTs in which they mint will have an increase in price, so that it attracts people, like word of mouth, or the community would be more interested in Avalanche now that there are lots of artists, lots of new NFT projects arises from this competition. And I have to agree that this idea is a double-edged sword. As Jay said, it can attract large amounts of users, but those are not the users that we usually want in a healthy ecosystem of NFTs, because they are here for the gains, they're here for the money. But on the other hand, we have a whole lot of new users to make the Avalanche kind of NFT ecosystem more vibrant, more lively. So, it's an interesting idea, and thank you to whoever write that down. Sorry if I forgot your name, but just to throw that in there. And yeah, I mean, just to sum up, the landscape now, the NFT landscape now in Avalanche, as the guy said, is really a very infant. We still have lots of things to do, and it's growing steadily but slowly. But yeah, the community is amazing, it's great. And so I believe it's time for us to open the panel for some of the community questions if we have any. What do you guys think? Do you have anything to maybe to add in before we move on to this segment?
Nope, all good.
Good.
All right, let's do it. So guys, if you have any questions at all for Vending Machines NFT, for SparkWorld about their upcoming plans for NFTs in general, just go ahead and unmute yourself. If there aren't any, we'll go ahead and maybe wrap this AMA up in a couple of minutes now. Yeah.
Yeah, while we wait for someone to request and come up, kind of go on about the landscape. For me personally, one thing that I see as like a big factor in new users and everything is marketplaces. I haven't seen anybody request yet, so I guess we can just keep going with this until, there we go. But SparkWorld, if any one of you after this or something, I was curious, like, are there any cool, like, who are the biggest marketplaces essentially? And I don't know, just to kind of chime in, like, I think having a fun and easy marketplace is a huge part of the NFT landscape. But we got Manu requesting, founder of, okay.
Very nice. Manu, what is your question, please? Added as...
yeah, okay, got it.
Yeah, Manu, you here?
Hey, hi, thank you for having me, and a great conversation. Yeah, I wanted to, my question is for SparkWorld. I just wanted to understand, because I'm launching a project on Avalanche first week of October. This is through the JPEG's launchpad. So I also want to understand how different something like SparkWorld would be, and that's my question.
Yeah, well, so you're launching, are you whitelisting through JPEGs or are you just going straight to public mint? I guess we worked with whitelisting a few projects in combination with JPEG, some of their free mints during the summer. So we kind of did supplementary launches, but that was kind of like off-chain whilst we developed the platform, kind of just using it as a proof of purpose. But what we're really focused on doing is supporting like the projects we think our community are going to like the most. Obviously, with anything to do with the Launchpad, you've got two funnels to fill: the project and the deal flow side with as high quality as possible, and like the community side. So we take on like community votes, we speak to people, we speak to the project owners and try and make sure like that's the best as possible. In terms of the actual process, I think our first external FPL is going to be in the week commencing the 10th of October. So I don't know if we'd be able to support with you guys, but the main difference is like the botting. Projects can have their almost their whole project ruined if it gets botted, and like 30 to 60% of supply is owned by like 2 to 5 people because there's so many bots, and then the trust and the integrity of like the floor price goes because they know an individual investor like myself would be like, if I buy this for 234 Avax, I know that like at any moment it could just be sold through. So I think we're really trying to solve, like, if you know from a transparency perspective, you've gone through like an FPL and there's like X number of real owners in that collection, it should hopefully make you more bullish. Obviously this is all hypothetical, and that's what we're sort of like aiming for. Whereas I think that sometimes the transparency in various launchpads isn't necessarily 100% there right now.
Very nice. And yeah, coming back to your question, Chase, I believe you were asking like what is the largest, I believe, NFT markets in the Avalanche?
Yeah, just because I don't know anything about the NFT space in Avalanche essentially, and I see that as a very important aspect to NFTs, and I don't know, NFT like marketplaces have to be like fun and easy kind of in a sense. And I was just curious, like, are there new ones building? Do you get like, are there current ones that everyone kind of uses? So I was just kind of curious on you guys' insights on that.
Yes, I'd say there's 4 main ones. So JPEGs, which is obviously a derivative of Trader Joe, which is like pretty much the primary protocol on Avalanche. I think it has like 99% of like active wallets on Avax, and they've got good backing from huge backing from Labs and a very good brand and an excellent team behind them. We've had some good parties with them. Then there's Kalau, who are awesome as well, NFT trade, who are cross-chain, but also I think potentially have the most volume on Avax. And then the final one I'd say is like Campfire. Those are like the primary four. Campfire is a lot more community-based. They did a really good set, which was like Beans on Acid, which kind of really brought them to the forefront, and that was cross-chain with Phantom. So they've come up and they had one of their co-founders is fairly well known in the community with like a good number of followers. So those are the main four, but like definitely I think competition helps improve like quality and innovation, which I think that only is going to improve the Avalanche chain. I think there can definitely be a bit more of that.
Gotcha. Appreciate you answering that, because I was just kind of curious. And then kind of to go off what you were saying earlier about the bots, just as a user, that is the most frustrating part of the NFT journey is, you're waiting for this mint, you're all ready, and then you just have absolutely no chance. It is the most frustrating thing. So yeah, just whatever, as a, not even Avax in general, just in general, like any ecosystem, I think solving that problem is going to be a big jump in the right direction.
I think it's like turning alpha into alpha. Alpha is only alpha if you can actually use it. So knowing about like this really cool mint that's coming up, or like, even if you get on a whitelist for some of these projects, the white list is even like botted so heavily that you can't use it. And so like not knowing how to execute on like some information on alpha is kind of almost irrelevant. But yeah, that's definitely what we've tried to do. And I guess in our mechanism, we've really tried to build in that, yeah, you can get like high probability if you're a whale, but like the mechanism with the prediction stuff is that like, even if you're like tiny, you kind of have an equal-ish chance of getting in. So yeah, it's an interesting mechanism to design, and one that we've been playing around with like quite a lot, but hopefully it's going to bring some good results to, the project owners and the community. So all the stakeholders involved is what we're looking to maximize utility on there.
Wonderful. And yeah, we're just looking for some questions for community. And if you guys don't have any, let's maybe wrap this podcast session up. It's been like one wonderful hours now. And so let's start with Vending Machines NFT. So what are your plans right now in the future? Just a few minutes for you to plug in.
Sure. Thank you. So Vending Machines, we are actually building a metaverse. And when we say metaverse, we don't really mean just an experience like a gallery, but a full ownership, right? So when we started the project beginning of the year, that was the deal, and any vending machine community holder will be part of that community, and we're going to do projects together, right? So our metaverse is being built in the background. About 80% of it is done. But in the near future, what we're looking for, we have our vending machine comics issue number 2 coming out, and then we also have one cool art NFT that we are working with our artists who did the comic. So those are a couple things that are coming right now to keep the fun going while we're still building our metaverse. So watch out for comic number 2 and a new NFT that Vending Machine will be bringing.
SparkWorld?
Yeah, sorry. I actually missed that question because I was getting pinged that I'm on the spaces at 5, so I'm back to back in one more minute. I'm on to the next space, unfortunately. So was this just a wrap up of anything wanted to highlight it coming in the next couple of months?
Yeah, like what products are you going to build in the next couple of months?
Yeah. So obviously the mainnet is a really exciting launch coming in October. So we're going to be all hands to the deck to facilitate that, and hopefully going to have some really cool sellout mints coming across the platform. Some that are free mints, some that are paid, some that are GameFi. We've got an Imperium Empires exclusive mint coming, which will be really exciting. 450 of their features, which is like the next ship in their AAA game. And it's going to just be exclusive on our platform. So that's a big one to watch out for. Hopefully have our IDO coming, market conditions dependent, of course. But that should be coming across Avalanche soon, just working out when the best timing is to actually facilitate that. So yeah, quite a few big catalysts upcoming for the project, which is really exciting. So keep your eyes on our social, jump in our Discord. We're always there to answer questions, but thanks so much for having us on the space. Really appreciate it. And see all you guys later.
Yeah, I just want to thank you guys for coming on. I've definitely learned a lot about, Avalanche in general and the NFT landscape you guys are kind of building over there. So just want to say thank you to you guys, and thank you for Daily for having us on again. It's always a pleasure. And then just want to, if you guys, most people probably know of CertiK, but if you don't, we are a security provider, KYC, audits, the whole 9 yards. So if there's anything you need on the security end, head to our website, and there's also a ton of just resources on there for users to kind of learn how to navigate this space safely and learn what you can do to prevent being involved in the next rug or getting hacked or anything like that. So just head over there or our Discord to learn more about us. And yeah, thanks, guys.
Thank you so much for tuning in today's podcast session. And yeah, the guys at SparkWorld, they are too busy. And it's all right, guys. Thank you so much for your time, for tuning in. It has been a really educative session. And I'm looking forward for our next Safe Space podcast. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Yeah, take care.